You ready for this?
Yeah, but I saw you standing up here, and I'm like, is this Tyler's? I thought I was
No, 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 no. I'm your handy dandy audio video guy for this.
Perfect.
Here is
This is
your
what I need.
bios. Do you want to load this yourself?
He's gonna do great. Is he? Good to know. Good morning, everybody. My name is Brittany. I am a woman in long-term recovery, and what that means to me is I haven't found it necessary to use a drink or a drug since September 1st of 2016. Before we get this panel started, there's just a few announcements that I want to make. First of all, welcome to the 2022 World Convention. Lanyards and name badges should be worn at all times, and they are required to enter any session. Silence your cell phones during all breakouts. No side conversations during the panels. If you must have a conversation, step outside and do it. Please don't vape or smoke near any entrances. Make sure that you are away from the building when you're vaping or smoking. Take notes during these panels to take back to your chapter, and we will open up at the end of the session for questions. So your questions will be answered. We are panel on replicating Oxford houses. And I was thinking about this panel, and we are all in here because a group of men got together in 1975, and from there we just continued to replicate Oxford houses over and over and over again for 47 years now, so that's pretty cool. We will go over finding an Oxford house, we'll go over training an Oxford house, all the ins and outs. And between our panelists up here, I think we did the math, between all 5 of us, those 4 specifically, they have had a hand in opening over 100 houses, so that's a pretty big deal. So our first panelist is Brent Erickson. Brent moved into his first Oxford house on June 19th of 2015. He was hired for Oxford House on August 1st, 2017. He has opened numerous houses as well as moved in and reestablished many houses. He obtained his PRSS in 2020, and in June of this year, he was granted a full governor's pardon. Brent will be talking to you guys about finding and opening a new Oxford house.
My name is Brent. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is I haven't used a drink or a drug since April 29th, 2015. All right, I'm going to go over share some of my experience with what finding and creating landlords. This first one is my favorite. Is word of mouth, using the other members, the fellowships, and things like that. I find that when we get landlords from this area, they have kind of emotional stock in what we do. They have a heart for this. It's not just a portfolio. For them, they have a passion for, what we do as helping the next recovering alcoholic or addict. Another thing I do is drive through neighborhoods, look for rent signs and things like that in the neighborhoods that we want to be in, and pick up the phone and do cold calls. I'm not going to lie, you'll probably get a lot of no's, but it doesn't matter till you get to that yes. The other thing, I have Zillow, Trulia, the Realtor, those things on the internet. I have, it has different things where you can do searches for what areas, the size of the house, how many bathrooms, all that kind of stuff. That's kind of in my morning routine when I'm drinking my coffee every single day. I'm always out there looking, seeing what's out there, seeing what I can call on, getting these relationships established and looking in these areas for these homes. Local property management companies, I go through some of them sometimes and work with them, to help find local landlords and anything that they might have available out there. And that's one of the last things that I do. Once you find a landlord, what you're going to want to do is sell the Oxford House concept. Walking in there and saying, hey, we're going to fill your home full of addicts and alcoholics. It's going to be just fine. Trust me. You gotta be able to have a lot of stuff in there and be able to sell that. Let them know, we're the best neighbors on the block. We're going to take care of your home better than anybody else. So selling the Oxford House concept. Then you're going to want to discuss the lease. All the terms have a lease template, the terms of the lease and things like that. And something that was passed down onto me that I say right out of the gate is that we don't pay a deposit or a security deposit, and we don't pay first month's rent. And that's something that in my area that it's been done and it's been passed on. And you don't kind of sell that because, we have a limited budget to open the house and fill it up, and we have to have members in there that get established so we can start paying that rent, and it helps get the house started off on a good note there. Another thing that's big is discussing the maintenance process, knowing who they have and what their process is, because we want to make sure that when we're opening a house and the house needs something, that we have a good established communication where we know that they're going to get in there and fix the ACs or get in there and change hot water tanks or roof leaks in a timely manner and get those things done for us. I'm a little nervous, guys. Can you hear it in my voice? All right. Thank you. It makes me feel a little better. All right, so locating the right property. Obviously, we want nice homes in nice neighborhoods. We have the right as addicts and alcoholics to live anywhere else that anybody lives. One thing I'm very weary of when I'm going in is HOAs. I do my best to stay away from homeowners associations, but when I do go into those, I want to get all the information that they have as far as their bylaws or their covenant or anything like that. How active they are. Is it just dues so they can put some Christmas lights in front every year, or do they have major involvement in the neighborhood? So that's something to kind of look out for and pay attention to what's going on in those neighborhoods that you're moving into. Making sure we have plenty of rooms for everybody in there. Good spaces for doubles, and I like to do mainly doubles and one or two singles. And then a common area is very important, because that's where we should be hanging out, the unity, the fellowship, having a good time, making sure that there's enough where we can have, everybody be able to be seated and run a proper house meeting and things like that. And then be able to break bread in the kitchen and have a good time and cook and things like that. So we need to make sure that, we have proper common areas and proper parking. That's something in the neighborhoods too that we got to be careful of, is that, we don't want to, upset any of the neighbors and stuff. So, making sure there's plenty of parking in the driveway for the amount of members that you're opening the house for, or if it's a corner lot where we have plenty of extra parking along the streets and on the side. Public transportation, making sure that when, we're close in walking distance to public transportation, or, the subway or rail system or anything along those lines. So when we come in and we have new members coming in, they're able to get to meetings and they're able to get to work and get to any kind of court things or anything they're involved with. Employment, again, making sure we're close to entry-level employment where we can get in there and help the newcomers get out there and get jobs so, they can pay their rent, obviously. EES, sorry. One thing I do, because I started off in a rural area, now I'm over a metro area. In the rural areas, when I'm going into new places, is on employment, I'll actually go out to some of the industries or employment agencies, and I'll do a presentation with them, because they've never heard of an Oxford House. So I kind of lay the groundwork ahead of time so that they know what we are. They know if we have members coming in there and they say, hey, I just moved into this Oxford House. They already have a concept of what's going on, and that kind of helps lay a foundation for having more well-established house when the new members are coming in and they're trying to find employment. Again, also, I want to make sure that, going out and seeing where all the meeting halls are or the clubhouses, getting in there and meeting everybody, and also making sure that they're in a close proximity for the residents to be able to get to. Community relations, the same thing is kind of with the employment, getting out there, building those relationships with the different referral sources, the different parole and probation, and I lost it. Parole, probation, like counseling, different food pantries and clothing pantries and all those kind of things. And that's what I got to share with you guys. Thank you.
Okay, so we've located the perfect property, enough rooms. One thing that I did when I was brand new is I never got a house with enough parking. My house isn't, because people in recovery don't have cars, but they start to get cars when they move in an Oxford House. And the first thing that makes a neighbor mad is when you park in their parking spot. It does not go over well, so don't make those same mistakes. So we found the perfect house. What do we do now? Andrew Ward is going to tell you. Andrew started his journey in Louisiana, where he helped open an Oxford House as a member and fell in love with the service structure of Oxford House. He now works as an employee, opening houses across 5 counties in Florida. Andrew is a certified event interventionalist, and he sits on the executive board of the local recovery community organization.
Hello, family. My name's Andrew. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is I haven't found it necessary to use a drink or a drug since June 7th of 2018. All right, so now we're going to be setting up an Oxford House, right? And so let's see. So like she said, we found the Oxford House, so now what we're going to do is hopefully we're going to be looking, preparing for the future, right? And so what do we need to do? We need to find furniture. We need to find things to put in this house to make it a home, make it an Oxford House, right? So what do we do? Tradition number 6, right? Ask the established houses, maybe for a furniture loan, maybe for a new house loan, right? You know, it says in the manual that we can loan each other money, you know, for a period not longer than 1 year. So if you have some established houses that are willing to help out, you know, that's the model. And so you know, that's what I try to do. Let's see. Look at thrift stores, right? Once you get the loan, get some money and everything, look at thrift stores. Look at Salvation Army. Look at auctions. one of my coworkers showed me Salvation Army auctions where you can get some really good stuff, very cheap, Will. Flea markets, Facebook, Craigslist, basically anywhere, you know, that you may be able to find some secondhand good furniture, even some newer furniture, you know, because we do want to have some good furniture. But look at places like that, you know. Use a furnishing checklist, right? So sit down, just like, you know, in recovery, we sit down and we may use a template from somewhere, and we write out a month plan, a 3-month plan for ourselves, right? We're going to follow that same thing. Use a furnishing checklist so we don't forget anything, right? Because you hate to get in there and you get all the beds, you get all the couches, and you get everything, but now you don't have, you know, cooking utensils, right? So use a furnishing checklist. Utilize a chapter storage unit, maybe a house's garage that's currently open, to store the furniture, right? Because you're going to be gathering the furniture in preparation for the opening of the Oxford House. So you know, use a storage unit or garage so that way it's there, and when opening day comes, it is there. You can just go get it and move it in, right? We're not running around trying to find everything day of, week of, and everything like that. Be frugal with the money that you receive from the house loans, right? Because it's normally a very limited amount of money, and so we want to be frugal. Use donations when possible. I know sometimes areas will update their furniture and just give the old furniture of their house to the new house. So if whenever possible, maybe try to do something like that. All right, so now it's moving day. What do? Set up a day and time so that everyone can be involved, right? Because you want the chapter, you want the HSC, you want newcomers, you want all that. It's a great time to get people involved, you know. Bring newcomers. Setting up a new house is a perfect time to foster unity and willingness to be involved, right? Because they see us getting involved. They see that we're building these relationships with one another, and I know that's part that I fell in love with, right? And I said, man, this looks like a family, and I want to be a part of that, you know. Set up an agenda, break up into teams, right? Because I know on moving day, sometimes it can get hectic, and we're all just running around, we need to put this here, we need to put that there. You know, it can get hectic, so break up into teams. You know, team 1, y'all move the furniture. Team 2, y'all set up the furniture, you know, and then everybody clean up. Don't forget to have fun, right? Because we're starting a new Oxford House that's going to save lives for years to come, right? And so this is a good time. All right, so now we're going to make the house a home, right? Because that's what it is. It's a home. We're a family, like they were saying. So you know, set up the binders and filing cabinet. Make it a party. Do that, right? Get out there and print all the binders. Set up the filing cabinet. Eat pizza. Whatever, you know. Watch movies while we do it. Just make it fun. Work with the outreach, the chapter, and the HSC to fill the vacancies. So you know. We're a team. We all work together, right? And so we got the house, and we need to fill it. So we're going to work with everybody to fill it. Hang pictures. I know that's one thing that got drilled into me whenever I started opening houses. It was like, all right, we're just going to put a bunch of furniture in there, but all the walls were bare, right? And I was like, what's missing from this home? It's pictures, right? So it makes it feel homey. Hang some pictures. Make the living room the heart of the house. I got a house in St. Augustine, Florida, and it's just a living room in the middle, and all the house, and I know all houses aren't set up like this, but all the rooms are just surrounding it, and the unity in that house is so great because there's nowhere for them to go. They have to hang out with each other, right? And so I like make the living room the heart of the home, you know, put things in there. You know, make it the family atmosphere that it needs to be. frame the Oxford House traditions in the charter, right? This is an Oxford House, and we're proud of it, right? And so when people walk in here, they need to be able to see the charter. They need to be able to see the traditions. Having a clean up and set up Oxford House is vital to the family atmosphere. So when new people are coming in, right, I know I like it to be set up and already in place, right? And they walk into a home, right? And they're coming from prison, they're coming from jail, they're coming from a rehab or whatever. They may not have ever experienced a home or may have not experienced one in a very long time. And so it's vital, I think it's vital to have all of it set up and just ready for them to go. Now what? Training day. I put a meme up there. That's funny. Okay. Invite the HSC for a training party, weekly officer training commitments, right? And so that's vital as well, right? Get the HSC together, get the chapter together, and say, all right, who's going to make commitments to come over here and train, right? Together we can do it. You know, 2 people go over here and train this time, 2 people go over here and train that time. And so let's get some commitments to do some training. Go over the guidelines, the manual, the traditions, and the charter. You want to go over all that stuff, not just one, but all of it, because that's the model is in there. Put together a community resource guide. There's example meeting guides, clothes closet, food banks, transportation options, etc. You know, a lot of times people come into these houses and they don't maybe they're not from there and they don't have a lot of stuff, right? So we're saying, hey, this is our home. We want you to be a part of it, and you know, these are some options that maybe we can help you with for you to be able to stay here. Yeah. So we made an Oxford House. We made it into a home, and remember that the Oxford Houses share their experience, strength, and hope with one another, right? And so we come together as a family and a community to open these houses, right? And we are a family, and together we can accomplish anything, and always to keep recovery first.
Thanks, Andrew. Setting up the Oxford House is such an important part of replicating the Oxford House. When I specifically moved into an Oxford House, it was an Oxford House that had been around for a little bit, and I walked in and it felt like home immediately when I got there. There were pictures on the wall, and it was home, and we want to give that back. And I know that we don't always want to participate in opening a house. We've worked all day. Nothing sounds worse than moving a bunch of furniture, but remember that somebody did that for you, and that's how we're all standing in this room right now, sitting, standing. Okay. So training and setting the house up for success. Christina is alumna of an Oxford House and senior outreach coordinator in North Carolina. She moved into an Oxford House in 2013 and has been an employee since 2017. Christina has assisted in the expansion of more than 23 houses in North Carolina. She is a certified peer recovery support specialist. In May of 2021, she graduated with an associate in applied science and human service technology, certificate in human services technology substance abuse. Presently, she is pursuing her bachelorette degree in human service at Lees McRae College. Christina Sanders.
Hey guys, I'm Christina, and I'm a woman in long-term recovery, and what that means for me is I've not had a drink or a drug since January 7th, 2016. All right, so we're going to be talking about training and setting up for success. So ways to assist the house when they move in. A lot of times we ask core members from existing houses to move in, if that's available. In our area, a lot of times we don't have that, so we have a lot of outreach in North Carolina. We're grateful for that. So sometimes it could be an outreach worker that will move in, but most of the time we would like core members from other houses to move in. Or have them temporarily move in to help assist and teach the people moving in how to fill the beds. After the house has gotten up and running, periodically stopping by the house to make sure that build unity, like bring some donuts by, let's eat some, well, we're from the South, Bojangles, I don't know if y'all know where that is, but bring some Bojangles. You know, get the house together, let them know that they are unity, that we are a family. Attend house meetings. So usually we attend house meetings when we open new houses. Usually it's, well, I had up here 2 months, but I don't know where that's at. But anyways, oh, it's on the next one. I'm just kidding. Attending the house meetings on weekly basis to help the house with positions. You have to learn to train the officers. They're not going to get it on the first time. And so you have to repeatedly go and help them learn the positions and be patient with them, because a lot of people maybe don't know how to read, they don't know how to write. I'm from a very rural area, and, you know, and just give people the positions that they're comfortable with. Attend AA and NA meetings together. Like I said, break bread, build a relationship with the residents. The business meetings. So we attend house meetings for 60 to 90 days. That can be with outreach, housing services, chapter chair, anyone that can help assist that house with training. Because we just can't show up one time and then leave. They're not gonna get it. Well, they may get it, but teach them effectively how to run a business meeting. The officer position, the reading of the manual and traditions, and the importance of the tradition in the manual. I know that for me, not just reading the manual, but someone told me, start at the first page. It's important to start at the first page, so, you know, then go through the whole manual, so then nobody can say, well, I've not read the manual. And teaching the importance of the democratic process and why we run things democratically. As he touched on, assuring that the house has all the forms and binders, making binders look really pretty and, you know, with all the copies in it so they're ready to go, making sure they have application and newcomer packets, obviously the president, comptroller, treasurer, secretary, coordinator. Very nervous. Teach the house to set up the filing cabinet. So I know that when we start houses that we make sure the filing cabinets are filled out correctly, but I know that I've been into a couple of homes that have had challenges, and we have had to restart them. And we've cleaned them out, and clean that out, file that stuff, and start it over clean and fresh. Start them with everything new. I know that we file our stuff for up to 2 years, but I don't know how other areas do. But put it in a filing cabinet, put the year on it, put it away. Make sure you have an application folder, new master copies. Those master copies are going to get lost, so newcomer packets, current member, each one needs to have a tab and it needs to be organized. That's all I got.
Our goal with opening new Oxford houses is to have them be completely self-sustaining. If we show consistency in the training, just like she said, 60 to 90 days, if we're in that house meeting, that gets through a little bit of the turnover that we may have in some of the houses, and we really get that piece where multiple members know what they're doing in the houses. So next we are going to talk about the best part about an Oxford house, right? Recovery and unity in an Oxford house. Zach Martinez was born in a small Hill County town of Junction, Texas. Before being hired by OHI out of San Antonio in January 2020, he spent 12 years working in the restaurant industry between Austin and San Antonio. He has served the Oxford House communities of Corpus Christi and Houston, and now works with the East Valley in Phoenix, Arizona. When asked what he enjoys most about being an outreach worker, his response was, helping houses and chapters create unity, leading to achieving stronger areas. This also led him to being the co-founder of the inaugural Arizona Walk for Recovery.
Good morning, family. Good morning. I think there's got to be at least like 1,200 of y'all in here right now. So, my name is Zach Martinez. I'm a man in long-term recovery, and what that means to me is I haven't found it necessary to use drugs or alcohol since March 15th of 2019. Also, so last year I spoke on a panel and I only spoke for 2 minutes, and I was thinking that they wouldn't put me on another panel, but here I am. So for all you future outreach workers that are sitting in this room, you don't get away with doing that and not having to be back up here. So today I'm going to talk with you all about what we do after we went out and found the perfect Oxford house with Brent. You know, maybe it has a saltwater pool in the backyard, a mini putt-putt, atrium in the middle. Sorry, I might be bragging about our Arizona houses right now. We went out with Andrew. We found the amazing furniture to fill the house up with, probably save some money there. Then Christina brought over the Housing Services Committee and the chapter officers, and we trained everyone up, and we had that first house meeting that may have lasted a few hours. So a lot of people think that after all of that, the job's done. I'm here to tell you that it's just beginning. Right? So now we're going to talk about how do we take this Oxford house and we turn it into a home. Oh, I got to do that? I am very technology challenged. I got it. All right. Yeah, I'm nervous, man, y'all. All right, so the first thing we're going to bring into it, we're going to bring some recovery into it, right? So we're going to go to meetings together as a house. That's a good space for everyone to not be out of their comfort zone. We got to go to meetings anyways. It gets you a chance to know each other better. Maybe you're going to learn something about your housemate also at the same time. After that, maybe we're bringing others that are out there to go with us to volunteer in the fellowships. There's lots of ways to do that. You can get involved. Maybe you're taking your house and y'all are going to meetings and saying, hey, we'll pick up the coffee, we'll sweep up afterwards. Christmas and Thanksgiving are coming up. That's a really tough time for us men and women in recovery. Maybe some of us are away from our family and things like that. Sorry, I'm going to take some water. I can hear it in my voice. So, what are we talking about, Thanksgiving and Christmas? I love food, so yeah. So we're going to volunteer at some dances, maybe do some car washes or holiday parties. The more that us as Oxford House members are out in the community, the more we show people how amazing we are. Now, recovery conventions. So, maybe someone in your house is on a planning committee for whatever fellowship is having their convention in town that weekend. If that's happening, take some of your newcomers with you. Take some members with you. Maybe your house is doing really well financially. Y'all can sponsor for the whole house to go to the convention. That's another great way to bring unity, and you're also focusing on your recovery at the same time. H&I and presentation. So if you have these commitments, through whatever you do, maybe your sponsor has you doing an H&I, or you have an Oxford House presentation that one of your outreach workers has encouraged you to do. The more that you take members in your house with you, you're giving them the opportunity to be of service, and you're also showing them what it looks like, right? Because when people move into an Oxford house, the newcomers, they're looking at us, they're seeing what we're doing in our recovery. Are we going to meetings? Do we have a sponsor? Are we going and doing H&Is? Are we doing Oxford House presentations, and are we doing it the right way? Assisting the less fortunate, right? So some of us, unfortunately, we know what it feels like to be one of those who are less fortunate. It should be us out there giving back to them. Get with your chapters, your state association, your houses. I know that some of y'all's chapters probably sit on a pretty good chunk of change, right? So get together, maybe do some goodie bags, some hygiene bags, something like that. Take some food out there, take some Oxford House pamphlets with you. You never know whenever that day might come that they'll be like, I remember when Oxford House came out here and served us food. Let me call that guy. And, in my opinion, we could have a whole slide on including newcomers. So that is one of the most important things, if not the most important thing in an Oxford House. Just like in the fellowship rooms, the most important person is the newcomer. They're coming to us, they're trusting us to teach them the right way. It means they're also watching us. So how we handle stuff in the house, how we go about our recovery, in every aspect of our life, they're watching us, they're learning from us. So it's our responsibility to do it right. And then if we're wrong, we admit it and we tell them. right? So now we're going to go to my favorite part. I like the unity. Where's my Arizona people at? We know we like the unity. Family dinners. So if your house or your area is not encouraging these right now, you need to get in your group chats after this. You know, I need you up here looking at me right now. Tell them that when y'all get back from the World Convention, y'all are going to start having family dinners. It has always been one of the things I'm a firm believer in, that breaking bread builds strong Oxford houses, right? So your house is struggling, you know, maybe y'all have some, oh, not struggling, you have some challenges. Sorry, Jackson's not in here, is he? You have some challenges in your house, maybe some personality conflicts or something. When I get those phone calls, I always say, well, when's the last time y'all had a family dinner? You know, or what's the unity like inside of your house? You know, you sit there, you get away from the Oxford House aspect. You sit there, you eat a meal together. Maybe y'all cook the meal together. You know, maybe you're like us, and we're like, we're not cooking and doing dishes, so we better order out. Movie nights, right? It's 2022. Technology is pretty advanced, obviously. You can stay at home, make it cost efficient, or your house can go out to the movies together. Maybe there's a movie everybody wants to see, but then again, who doesn't love movie theater popcorn? So, bowling and mini golf. I have seen this go numerous ways. Sometimes challenging. We'll use that word, challenging. That's the word for the convention. So, I know, brag on Arizona again, y'all bear with me. We like to roll 60 to 75 deep to a bowling alley and let them know that we're going to be there for a few hours and that we'll try to be as well behaved as we can. It's cool to do like the bowling and the mini golf, because maybe like your house or something, y'all can incorporate like, hey, the winner doesn't have to do the chore. Things like that. Definitely, so now barbecue and cookouts. Is the weather nice? Have a barbecue, right? Buy some food, invite the whole chapter over, get together, maybe have some games, some cornhole, something like that. The options with that are endless. You can turn into like a little competitive thing. Who can make the best salsa? Who can make the best ribs? You know, we all fight over who makes the best brisket. It is Texas, by the way. You know, maybe best dessert. You know, someone makes a good peach cobbler banana pudding. Call me after this convention. Camping trips. So, you know, maybe your house is wanting to do something big, right? Like you've had a group of people that have been in there together for a little while. You're like, you know, what can we do? Maybe your house is celebrating, you know, being open for a year or anything like that. Grab everyone, go to the woods, you know? Sit around. That can be interpreted a lot of ways, so let's not be getting on that soapbox right now, all right? Not those kind. Maybe y'all can rent out a cabin. I know we had a house, once again, a house in Arizona, that rented out a cabin in northern Arizona and took the whole house. There was 12 guys in the house. They found a way to do it, and they still talk about that today, even the guys that moved on to alumni and things like that. And so now, you know, we've done all of this, right? Who's ready to open an Oxford house? I saw a lot of y'all that did not raise your hands. But those of you that did raise your hands, I'm calling all your outreach workers and letting them know that y'all are ready to go. So, you know, we've done that. We've built the family atmosphere. Our unity's super high. We've went through everything that all these amazing panelists have talked about. So what do we want to do now? We've already opened an Oxford house. We're going to have an open house. So we're going to open it, we're going to clean it up real nice. We're going to put all of our books and stuff out there.
They're not getting that you're saying having a community.
I'm trying, I'll get there. Close. Who said housewarming party? All right, so we're going to have an open house. We're going to invite people into the Oxford house who maybe don't know what an Oxford house is, or maybe some neighbors who are like, I don't know what that is. Why are they living next to us? And we're going to show them how beautiful our houses are and what we do in there. This is how we do it. These are our books. You know, this is our stuff on the walls. This is our whiteboard. This is where we put all of our chores and things like that. So people understand more about what an Oxford House is and what goes on inside of it. Because a lot of people hear Oxford House and they hear men and women in recovery, and there's a little bit of a stigma on that. So each time that we have an open house, we take chances at knocking that stigma away. So, am I good? That's all I have for y'all.
Thanks, Zach. So we are at the end of our PowerPoint. We're going to open it up for questions. Tyler is going to come around. It's not on.
Check. Okay, there we go. And I have one announcement because this is being live streamed on YouTube. If you're going to ask a question, please speak directly into the microphone so it gets recorded. And we'll start with this guy.
Hello, I'm James from Virginia. So anyway, just was wondering if you, I know this is on like the new house, but a house that has the members that have been there. So in my house specifically, we've got, nobody in our house is a newcomer by far. The least amount of clean time in our house is 1 year, and collectively we have 60 years out of our 9 members. All right. Suggestions for refreshing a stagnant house. I wouldn't call our house stagnant, but like that's the closest I can come up with. Maybe like it's not even like that. It's like boring in a way. Like we're just bored and we know each other. So just suggestions for refreshing that.
They keep saying it's me, but I don't agree with them. So what I heard was you have some senior members who maybe got a little stagnant?
We're all comfortable.
Okay. How involved are y'all with your housing services committee in your chapter? That answers the question.
Hey, so I know there is a World Council house inventory that I've seen floating around, and it basically has questions and answers. I'm like, are you doing this? How involved in this? And basically take an inventory on your house, right? And you see like what can we work on and what can we do better? And like this is where our house is at, and this is where we would like it to be.
Where do you find that? Yeah, where do you find that? Where do we find World Council in general?
I would see your outreach worker. I know it's on our website, like for our state. So just ask your outreach worker. They can probably find it for you.
I was going to say a lot of times opening a new house in your area can bring excitement. And it might bring excitement to the existing houses.
I was going to say something similar to what Christina just said. If you guys have that long in an Oxford house, you guys have lots to offer new people in recovery. So maybe it's time that a couple of you guys move out and start new houses, and that way you can help other people in recovery. Also, there's a World Council booth right out here, whoever was asking that question. Do I have to stand up?
Yes.
Oh. Okay. Okay. I'm nervous now. So we have some people in our house that are new-ish, been there for like 6 months. Whenever we try to do a unity event, they're not about it. Like, don't want anything to do with it. She just wants to do her own thing. So how do you like involve them? Yeah.
Bring food.
We do. Yes, we do. So we've done it at the house. We've done it
Again?
I know for us, when the interview process is done, you ask, are you willing to be involved with your Oxford house? You know, not only on the house level. A lot of times we throw that back in their face. You said yes here. Yeah, you signed up for this.
Go this direction this time.
Hi there. I'm Gina, and I'm from an Oxford house in Connecticut. Wow, this is really loud. I'm the only person out here from Connecticut, and I'm learning a lot here. We don't have a chapter right now, and we have about like 3 women's houses, and I don't have many men's houses, more than that. So I'm learning a lot, and I don't know if we have a outreach worker, but I'd like to, and what I'm envisioning is like, how do I get more involved with like what everybody's talking about, like chapters and outreach workers, and like, if I go back home, like what would be my first step to get us more involved in like how this normally runs?
So I'm sorry, on your question, you want to know how to open more houses, or how do you go about getting more in Connecticut? How many houses do you have?
Maybe under 10, between like 8 and 10.
In the entire state? Okay, so the chapter manual says that you have to have 3 houses that are all within 100 miles from each other. Do you know if that's the case? Yes? I'm not, okay. So you guys have enough to create a chapter. There's also outreach workers up there that I'm sure that would love to assist you. If you want to come see me after this, I'll point you in their direction. Yeah?
I'm going to go this way now.
I'm Bobo, I'm an addict. I'm from Jackson, Tennessee. I'm the HSC for Chapter 15. My question is, so you said earlier, one of y'all said earlier about taking donuts to the new houses and stuff and making them feel welcome. Can your chapter pay for that out of that money? And, okay.
Within reason.
Within reason. So when you open that new house, you know what I'm saying, you got a new house, so that chapter can the chapter members actually take it out of that money and go to that house and fund that? So that's my question.
So when finding a house I like to get the chapter involved, I usually have the chapter come look at the house when we're establishing that, hey, whatever chapter that's going to go in. And so once we establish that, we get a lease, the chapter already has some emotional stock in this house and what it's going to be. And so we do things like we have a house that we just recently opened, and it's called Oxford House Beach, and they called it A Day at the Beach, where they went and they provided, they had pizza and all these things. The chapter provided this stuff, and they came and they helped set up the house and put pictures on the wall. So the answer to your question is yes, whatever involvement you can to get the chapters and stuff and the members to have emotional stock in what's going on in opening that house.
Get it when you can. My name's Jeff Siegel. I'm from Florida. So you spoke earlier. Hey, Florida. All right. So you spoke earlier about selling the idea to a landlord when you're cold calling. Can you give some examples of that? And also, you talked about talking them into no deposit, no first month. Can you give some examples of strategies on that?
So there's no real, it's just being very confident, going in there with the experience of lots of no's, just to be honest. I mean, a lot of people are going to say no. And I don't budge. When I find a new landlord and it comes to negotiating that lease, when I'm first getting involved, that first lunch that I'm having together with them, I just put it right out there. This is what we do because these are the reasons why. Like, we want to make sure that we establish this house with everything it needs so they have the opportunity to get out there right out of the gate, get in recovery, get jobs. That way we can continue after that first month to make sure you have your rent on the first every time, and we keep renewing leases from then on.
And I think another thing that would be beneficial, if you were going to look out for your own landlord, take some references from some landlords you already work with.
I'm going to go back here. I really like the participation in this crowd. This is fun.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm from Oxford House in Phoenix. My question is, how long do you have to be in Oxford House to open a new house?
So, whenever I, when I was a member, right, well, a guy came from a rehab, and we had already interviewed him, and he moved in, and I helped carry his book bags in, and we dropped it off, and I said, here, this is your room. Why don't you come out here and get in my truck with me? And we went and opened the house.
Did you mean physically open the house as a core member, or just opening like he was saying?
That and in my house, I'm one of the first ones that moved in there, and in October it'll be a year.
So I don't think that there's no set amount of time that you have to have. It's when you're ready to make that. It's a big commitment to open a house, and you have to make sure that you're sound enough in your own recovery that you are able to make that commitment.
Check.
And a working knowledge of the Oxford House model.
Is it time? Oh, hi, I'm Jill. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I'm opening a house on October 1st. And my question is, yes, my question is, should we have the new members that we accept, like over the phone, should we have them move in on opening day?
That's really, I hear a lot of yes. If the house is set up and ready, you don't want a new member moving in and having to put together their own bed. So you just
I haven't seen it.
What?
I have not seen the house.
Okay. Just remember about how you felt when you moved in an Oxford house, and if there are people in here that have moved into an Oxford house that wasn't fully set up and the beds weren't set up, how much stress that added onto you already fresh out of recovery. So can you? Yes. Should you? Probably not.
Marlon G., Topeka, Kansas. We have actually went from 17 houses to 24 in like a year. So we're growing down there. So my question to the panel is like, I've had a couple of people, I'm the chapter chair, chapter 2 in Topeka. We had a couple of issues where we have some people coming in who are struggling with, addiction, and some of their main situation though is, probably med diagnosis type stuff. And so, it gets a little like that principles over personality thing, and like maybe this guy's, not being combative, but, he's on a bunch of different meds, and like, dude, where's the spoons? Like, why do you have all the spoons? And really good people though, you know what I'm saying? Like really wanting to, you draw the line when people, they're not disruptive, but people are a little bit uncomfortable. We run into that. Like just wanted to throw that in there, see if you can give a little insight.
Hello? Okay. So, so where do you draw the line with disruptive behavior? So obviously, we're gonna have, there's behavior, we're gonna have a house meeting and we're gonna talk about this, right? And then, don't let people pull the wool over your eyes. Like, we're all addicts and alcoholics. I know I'm an addict and alcoholic, right? And so like, I know when somebody's trying to hustle me and trying to do, pull the wool over my eyes, right? And so just sit down and be like, look, like, these are the behaviors, right? And so if the behaviors add up to what you think it is, then, hey, this is principles before personalities, right? And go with that and vote on it, you know what I mean? So, I know we want to help everybody and we want to do these things, but you can't let, you can't let somebody get away with like using in the house just because I just really care for them and I really want to help them. I do care for them and I really want to help them, and that's why I am saying you can no longer live here no more, so you can go and get the help you need.
Not using though. They're on meds and stuff. They're getting help from like recovery facility. They're not using, but they're on meds. They're a little bit.
I have an answer. My name is Tyler. I'm an alcoholic. So, houses can have that individual count their medication to make sure that it's being taken properly. The next thing is the house can have an emergency meeting to address the individual's behavior, and they can write down everything that this person is doing and set a standard for them to go back and talk to their physician, because maybe it's a medication issue. Maybe they're taking multiple medicines that aren't mixing well together, things of that nature. There's also behavior contracts, which people can be placed on, not as a punishment, but to modify certain behaviors. And then, corrective measures. And last but not least, would be expulsion.
Thank you, Tyler.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm Jackson. I'm an alcoholic. I'm from Northern Kentucky, and I'm a Chapter 13 chair. So my question is, my outreach has asked me to possibly move to a different house to stabilize it, and I'm a little nervous, and I haven't given them an answer because of that, because I don't know exactly what that means so I guess my question would be some ideas or some advice on how to stabilize a house correctly.
Do it. Me? Yeah. Is it already on? Can y'all hear me? Oh, it is on. My bad. So my first piece of advice would be to do it. Any opportunity you get to go and help a house with challenges in it, take the opportunity. It's not only beneficial to your own recovery, it's beneficial to those that you're going in there to help. When dealing with the situation, after you've moved into the house, and you've looked at everything, you're like, okay, this is what we need to do. Definitely focus on the unity in it, right? Show them like, hey, if we get together as a group, you start building that trust. Y'all start having those tough conversations a little easier. Y'all be able to go through anything, everything together as a house. And then maybe also don't forget to focus on the group's recovery as a whole, like not individual. Like it's everyone in the house doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if they're not, then the house as a group should sit down and talk about that. And then you'll find your ways throughout those two things, at least in my experience. The things get a little easier as, you might take a little while, but you'll get to the point to where you want to go.
I also recommend, like the outreach worker asks you to, take this opportunity and then like you go find somebody else that you believe in and ask them the same thing, right? Like kind of build a team,
And I always say, ask your sponsor, pray about it.
Yeah.
You done?
I think we got time for one more.
No, we got about 15 minutes.
Hello. Thank you. My name is Topher. I'm Vice Chair of South Carolina. God willing, we'll be opening our state's first Daddy and Me house on October 15th. Speaking of Daddy, anyone have any recommendations on things that you would stock a house for children?
For children, plug-in cover, door handle, gate, game, child lock, lock, and lock.
I made a mistake. We got plenty of time for questions.
Hi, my name is Michaela. I'm from Illinois. I'm my secretary chapter. So I have two questions. One, like how to get a chapter involved. Our chapter doesn't really have any core members. We have like about 2 with about 3 years clean. And I would say they're to the point where like they've been doing it so long that they like don't want to feel obligated. So like we are just now, we had a chapter with nobody in positions. So we're just now filling those, and because we have a significant amount of money in our chapter account, the first thing is to like open a house, but no one wants to put in the time, effort, or to even move into that house. It's just because it sounds good. And then my second question is to build unity in a house where like your house wants to like actually know the manual and then like get the knowledge instead of just living there, or like having a place with free, like cheap rent, basically.
I'm going to answer your first question and then I'll pass it along. Just like with a chapter and in a house, a chapter takes a little bit of time to stabilize. So you are going to somebody said it before, you're going to want to reach out to the newcomers in the houses and bring them to chapter. And I know Illinois that they have to be at some anyways, but bring them and show them how much fun you have doing it. And really connect to the newcomers because they are going to be the future of your chapter.
Can you ask your second question again? So my second question is, sorry, I'm loud already. My second question is, my house is struggling with like not knowing the knowledge of Oxford and just have like been complacently living there for so long, some of the members. So like making, I guess, per se rules as they go, and then it's like a bossing type of situation. So how to have a house with unity and not just bosses.
So I think that, trying to have unity maybe wrapped around, let's see, some manual studies together, having some, dinners and things like that, and try to go maybe over the manual in small sections and ask each other, kind of what you all, individually think about that and how you all interpret it. I think, you said making rules or guidelines as you go, and I think that a house should establish some basic guidelines to go by, and make sure not to be changing those based on personality. Make sure they're based on principle. Houses should be voting, not to benefit an individual. Let's change this because it benefits me. Like, it needs to benefit the house as a whole.
The second breakout panel, which might be beneficial for your situation, is leadership versus bossism, practicing democracy. So that might be a good one for you to go to.
Okay, so my question is, my name is Emma. I'm from Kansas. I'm super nervous right now, so bear with me. Woo! Yeah. So I'm very grateful for the house we have right now and the landlord and stuff, but stuff is like kind of falling apart in our house. It's a woman and children's house, and we'll contact the landlord, and nothing gets fixed. The guy will come, and then we just have a lot of stuff happening that's not really getting resolved. They'll come out one time, and then they'll not fix it. And so I want to open another woman and children's house. The house we have right now is like a 20 for 10. It's a big house, so trying to find another house. I was thinking is there a way you can split up, take that house and split it up into 2 different houses, or because it's really falling apart. It's sometimes it gets real stressful to live there because the tub will be leaking and flooded downstairs, or it's just one thing after another with the house, which causes all of us a lot of stress because for a while we couldn't get a hold of our landlord, and then now that we can get a hold of her, we don't really, there's no resolve with it. We got stuff, windows leaking, the tub fucking up, messing up. It's lots of issues, and so I don't really know what to do.
So I think you kind of got a 2-part question. So the first part, are you guys keeping logs like of all this maintenance things? When you call in, how it was fixed, if it was fixed completely, you know, that you need to keep good records. That way, if it gets to a point, like you can, you know, really talk to your outreach worker about it. But, you know, if you get in a situation where you can get out of your lease early. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, but you want to have good records and those kind of things of what's going on. I mean, in all situations, having a maintenance log of what's going on and how to fix that and things like that. I'm going to answer the question as far as dividing a house. Like, I wouldn't, you know, in a perfect situation without all the maintenance issues, I wouldn't want to take, you know, too many residents away from one house to open another one because we don't want to destabilize that house. You know, I've known of or worked with situations where we'll take an individual out of a couple different houses in a chapter to move 3 or 4 people into a house to open it, but not out of the same house. Does that kind of make sense? Two different houses. I see what you're saying.
We did something like that in Alabama. We had a house that just, it wasn't working out, the house was falling apart, it was terrible. And they took everyone out of that house, they closed the lease, and they divided them into other houses until they could find a better situation.
We don't have space for that though. We don't have enough. We only have 2 women and children's houses in Topeka, and we wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, I would get with your outreach worker and ask those questions.
My name is Royce. I'm from Alabama, Roll Tide. So I've been with Oxford House for about 14 months, but there's been a couple of times I've went and started up a new house, helped it out. But now I've been put into a house that's got a setting for like 12 people. So right now there's only 2 of us there because it's still under construction and we're getting the beds and all that stuff for it. But I know in Alabama it's different than some other places because I know I've heard people say that they require a move-in fee, or at least a move-in fee up front. But with this house, when we get it started on the 1st, the rent is probably like that in a lot of other places, but for our area, $4,300 a month rent is like double the amount that we're used to paying. So I know we need to fill in the beds quick. So with that being said, would you find it more beneficial for the house to try to fill up the beds quicker, and even if they don't come in with no money, or require a move-in fee? Because you know sometimes it takes people a week or 2 to come up with a job and stuff. But I feel like with that much rent, like maybe we should bring in money with the people without hurting the Oxford House name. You know, that's my question.
All right, so go Tigers, and no, no, but that's a good question. That's a good question. So that's something that you would sit down and talk with the people that y'all are doing the interviews with. But I will say that whenever we started opening houses in Florida and my area, I can tell you 98% of people that came in did not have any money, and we survived, you know, and we got ahead. And I'm not saying that that's what everybody should do across the country, but I'm saying, you know, it will work if you run by the model and hold people accountable and say, this is what we expect of you, right? This is what you said you were going to do in the interview, and we hold them accountable to that. It will work.
So something that I've always kind of used when it comes to that is an empty bed has 0 chance of bringing any money into the house. At least if there's a warm body in there, there's a chance they can go out and get a job and start bringing some money into the house. And then something that Paul Malloy said, like when I attended my first World Convention a few years ago, that sticks with me, is to fill those damn beds.
Hi. Oh.
Hey y'all, my name is Camille. I'm from South Carolina. I have a question. For the mommy and me and daddy and me houses, why is it that children over the age of 12 are not allowed?
That's typically a state guideline, state by state, and that's ultimately what, in Kentucky it's a little different, Indiana it's a little different, it's different from state to state. There's not really one concrete answer. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Kentucky is a state law, and I would assume that it's like that in every state. Tyler, do you know?
Personally, don't know about the variances. Check. Sorry, the microphone's cutting in and out. But I do know that, like, say that there's a young male child that is 12 or 13 years old experiencing puberty, and he is in a house full of 8 grown women, that could be very detrimental to the way that he grows up and what he's exposed to and things of that nature. And the vice versa can go for, like, men and children's houses and little girls and things of that nature. And don't quote me on it. I think it's also like a HUD guideline, and we have to follow those throughout all states.
Hi, everybody. I'm Harold. I'm outreach for New Jersey. My question was, I like the cookout and the barbecue and the open houses. I've dealt with a lot of... Hello? Okay. I've dealt with a lot of troublesome neighbors. You know, they call the cops a lot or call the city for your grass being a centimeter too high, things like that. What would you guys recommend to help deal with neighbors like that?
So as far as like when you're having your unit events and your barbecues and your neighbors, something that I try to work and teach in Arizona is if you're gonna have a big party and you know it's coming up, you know, maybe give your neighbors a little bit of a heads up, like, hey, just so y'all know, on this day we're gonna be doing a 4th of July party, or we're having Thanksgiving lunch for people who have nowhere to go at our house. And just giving them a heads up, sometimes it helps smooth that out to where they're like, okay, thanks for letting me know, and then, you know, you're kind of building that relationship going with them and things like that. To your second part about, like, your grass being too high in your neighbors, if there was a solution to that, I wish someone would let us know, because that happens all over the country. It's just about being a good neighbor and showing them that, you know, we deserve to be there like we do, and that we do things right. And it takes a little bit of time, but the more that you do the right thing, the smoother those relationships will end up becoming.
And I was going to say, I always say, one year in Wilmington, North Carolina, they had a July 4th party. And I showed up, and I was the only outreach worker that was there, and there was like 200 people there. And they had gone to every neighbor and let all the neighbors know that that's what they were doing. And then they had someone out there directing traffic. And it went very smoothly. I was really, really shocked. And, you know, they were gone by dark. You know, so if you let the neighbors know, a lot of times you don't have the police called on you.
Hi, my name is Nicole Gamble, and I'm opening a new house in just a week in Kansas City, Kansas. Thank you. So I'm kind of nervous about it all. So we only have one women's and children's place in Chapter 9 in Wyandotte County. There's several houses in Johnson County, Overland Park, stuff like that. But we have one woman's house in Wyandotte County. So I advocated for women in Wyandotte County being the HSC chairman. I'm kind of nervous, and I wanted your guys' advice or encouraging things to tell me, because, like, I'm apprehensive about it. It's going to be a woman's reentry, and it's well overdue, and I'm just really excited but really nervous and just want to take all I can from this. And I'm also going to go to the next, the one about reentry and prisons and stuff. So I was just wondering, is there any advice you guys can give me? Because it's a lot, you know what I mean? And I want to do the best I can, but it's all new to me, you know what I mean?
I mean, women's housing can be challenging, but if you make it homey and welcome and exciting, they will come.
I'm worried about the transition from women and children to the women's reentry, which is, the dynamic is a little different, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we don't have women, we have them all together.
So it's a little different. I'm not sure exactly. I think I have an idea of what you mean by reentry, but I think that my biggest piece of advice for you is to remain patient and keep your goal at the forefront. Like, and it's not always going to be easy to do. Like I said, opening a house can be really stressful, but remember why you're doing it there, because the women coming from incarceration need the same chance that you have. And that may be a little more challenging than just having a women's house. Make sure that you keep your balance between your personal life, your Oxford house, your work life separated, your recovery. Make sure you stay in recovery and lead by example. You want them to do what you're doing, so that's the biggest thing, is to lead by example.
Thank you guys for your time.
All right, guys, we are at 11:03. If you guys have any questions, anybody with their hand raised, get with some of us, and any outreach worker can answer your questions, okay?